and welcome to Psychic Catchup. I'm Kerry Waring, and today I'm joined by Gemma Rose Green. Welcome, Gemma.
Hi.
Just let me tell everyone a little bit about you. And Gemma is certainly one of my dearest friends, and we've known each other for quite a few years now. We initially met through Gemma working on my In Spirit magazine. But these days, Gemma really inspires a healing revolution, promotes promoting self and generational healing. You're a badass life coach.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and a psychic intuitive healer with a passion for family and generational healing. So tell us a little bit about that, Gem.
Okay, so I guess when it comes to kind of finding your niche kind of thing as to what, the level or the line of work that one should be really focused on, it kind of comes up throughout those themes throughout your life, so family has been a big thing for me, working with family, creating family, and really redefining the whole dynamics and concept of family, even from what I grew up with to what my parents grew up with and all of that kind of stuff. So for me, it took me a while to get there, but finally kind of, realizing that, okay, it's this whole family thing and helping others create better relationships, or, whether it's acceptance through whatever they may be experiencing, or just working with each other better, and really shifting or creating a better future by dealing with the generational stuff, that we bring through line after line after line after line.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's sort of like,
so for example, if domestic violence runs through the family, your parents, that was how you grow up in your life, and that's how they grew up and that kind of thing. It's really about looking at that as a generational thing and breaking it down and healing so that you can change the future.
Yep.
Yeah. Break the cycle. Yeah.
Which is important work. It's that, and the thing about having a focus on families is really about that everyday stuff. It's the everyday stuff that we deal with, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know, like generational healing is like this big, that's massive, but it's not. It's not just that. It's about dealing with life, everyday life in the family dynamics, and just working toward creating a better way of living and thriving in the family environment.
Yeah, just our parenting, our family dynamics, and how that shifts over time, all of that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
And, I know one of the things that you wanted to talk about today was actually play and playing with spirit, playing with energy, and using it to create a greater congruence and greater harmony with the energies that are about you. So just tell us, what does that look like for you, Jem? What do you mean by that?
I guess for me, I find my connection to spirit, to energy as a whole, when I'm playful, it works for me a whole lot better. So when I'm not so serious with it, okay, I've got to zone into spirit and, I've got to write all of this, I've got to validate it, blah, blah, blah. When I'm playing with it and just going, okay, I've caught you out the corner of my eye, what do you want? Let's, just, it's just so much easier for me when I take a playful, when I look at it as a playful way, rather than being so incredibly serious about what I'm doing. So, I guess, even just having those fun conversations with spirit. What are you doing here? What, and not being so caught up in the answer or how they respond, and just, I don't know. It works for me.
Okay, so we're talking about your mediumship connection to spirit, and so I guess that I know myself, I'm really guilty of being a serious Nelly, you know, and I often find playfulness hard to get to. Yeah, so, but I hear you. I know that that playful energy, that if we allow it, if we be more conscious with it, it does create a greater flow, because we're not so bogged down, we're not worried, we're not, you know, trying to make it happen.
Absolutely. So if you want to look at it like playing with the universe energy, the energy of the universe, and you know, attracting things to you or whatever, you know, just hopping in the car and going, oh, there's a blue car, and just playing with that, going, how many blue cars can I see? You know, making it playful rather than going, you know, oh, okay, I need this to show up in my life and I need it right now. Just getting out there and playing with it on a whole different level creates that ease of flow and connection, and ultimately the validation to it all.
Yeah, and so what are some of the things that you do, Gem, that create that playfulness energy around it?
I guess for me, like having so many kids, I just find it like it's like a normal kid-like conversation. Like, so that's how I approach it, is I guess it's kind of like, well, okay, just being in that playful energy of how I would handle my children, and being the playful mama, I kind of transfer that on to working with spirit and working with source energy, and just trying to maintain that level of playfulness.
Okay, which because you do have young, some young children, you know, kids that are just in early stages of school and stuff. It can be easier to achieve, and I know for me, even back then when my kids were that young, I still struggled getting into that playful mode. You know, it's never really been having a difficult childhood. That's where it's come from.
Okay. Yep.
So it's a real challenge for me to sort of think playful or whatever. And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
I'm sure you're not either. Yeah.
And especially when it comes to our connection to spirit, because we feel such a wealth of responsibility to get the information as correct as we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, to make sure that if we're passing information on, that we're doing it with integrity, we're doing it with professionalism. So all of that. But I hear you, you know, like.
Yeah. And I guess, you know, saying that it's not like if I'm tapping in and reading for a client and that kind of stuff, it's not like, oh, I'm off, you know, having this big play and joke with spirit and that kind of stuff. That is obviously serious. But on the day-to-day stuff, to improve and develop that connection, for me, it really has to be playful.
Yeah. And I guess if you were to give people tips on how to bring that in, and it's I guess I'm sort of thinking about getting out into nature more, you know, connecting with like-minded people more, and having, you know, chats and coffee and get-togethers, and, you know, just chatting over your passions. I think the other things that sort of coming to mind is our creativity. And I know, like, we've got, you know, some people watching that I know, like Marie is very much a creative soul, and, you know, creates jewelry and candles and all sorts of, so that's a very playful mode.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then I guess on the serious level, you know, it's really about being consciously aware of the expectations that you hold, and you know, the level of seriousness that you're holding in the moment, and just letting go of that piece by piece. Yeah.
And I guess I would also add to that, if there's like some spirit guide energy to call on that would help with this, it would be things like the fairies.
Yep.
It certainly, I know in my Spirit Guide Wisdom deck, the dolphin is the playful card,
Very
is
playful. Yep.
playfulness card. So I would call on dolphin energy to work with me and help.
Yep, absolutely.
Bring that in. And so is there any other like energy tips where
look, if you want to be game, you can call on Loki. He's a bit of a playful trickster, but you've got to be a little bit careful with Loki. But if you're keeping it all in a playful manner and not being too serious.
And that's I guess this leads us into a little bit of our next conversation, and we have got a comment from Tiffany, and I'm going to say, Tiffany, we're acknowledging it, and we are going to have some time for questions towards the end, so I'm going to hold that question you've got and we'll answer it for you at the end, okay? And so it's the kind of we're talking about invoking spirit, right? And invoking spirit in a way that's going to help us with our intention to be playful. Now, in that space, we're actually giving ourselves permission to be playful. And that was one of the other things that I really felt intuitively that we needed to talk about today was giving ourselves permission. And for lots of reasons, I think, but I think if there's anything that we're trying to achieve, whether it's playfulness, whether we're trying to achieve abundance and create wealth, whether we're trying to, right now, it might be to balance out your health. Any of those things, I think one of the things that I'm feeling is very foundational for our connection with spirit is permission. So, and I know you and I have had this conversation before, so let's talk a little bit about how that's shown up in your life just recently.
So I guess for me, like, it's become pretty obvious that there's this whole other level of permitting spirit or permitting the universe to come in and work with me in the way that I choose to, with in the way that I want, I'm wanting to create or to receive or whatever it may be. And I guess that's kind of giving and allowing permission for a conscious relationship with spirit or with universal energy to take place, so that we're not placing all the onus and the expectation onto spirit or onto universe to bring us what we're asking for or to do what we're asking for or whatever that may be. It's developing that relationship between the two of you, which playfulness can help achieve, to permit and give the permission for you to receive or achieve or whatever it may be.
It's a big thing, because I know, and this was part of my journey, is that we often, and I know from working through the mediumship angle and working with spirit guides and all of that, we really seek out that guidance from spirit. We really seek, our guides to almost be telling us what's our next step,
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that that's okay to a certain degree, but then we get to this point where we're too heavily reliant. And spirit really will at some point take a step back, and they really will turn around and say, no, it's your decision. It's it's what you want now at this point. And I think that is collectively going on right now for everyone, whether they are new to their spiritual awareness or not. And part of the reason being is this mishmash between, working with energy through things like psychically and spirit guides, to the other branch of things, which is the connection to self through things like the wellness arm. I'm just feeling that there's this marriage going on collectively. And so we're really, those of us that come from the space where you and I do, the psychic space, or the spiritualist space, it's really that sort of, we need to be sort of letting go of that reliance and sort of going, well, okay, it is a partnership. You know, it's more like, what are my choices? And then let's just allow spirit to support that.
That's right. This whole conscious relationship, but and permission to allow all of that to occur, but also there's the permission to allow you the choice to either be in the energy that's come through or the messages that have come through, or choose to be different, greater, better, whatever it may be.
And absolutely. And that sort of leads me to another segue. You know, where we're at right now with the energies of March.
Yep.
Okay. And because the energies of March have got they've got two things in them. They've really got this real focus on health.
Yep.
Health and well-being. And I know I've been saying people will be experiencing their health issues really coming up to the fore and being totally in their face.
Yes.
Now, the purpose behind that is these long-held issues that are really coming up for resolution.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry. It's so heavy to me when I'm tapping into that. And, you know, we've had these discussions before about the choice of being in that energy or moving beyond that energy. And for me, when it hits me really physical, it's really difficult for me to step out and go, okay, hang on a second, it's a choice to get out of that.
And this is where we need to be giving ourselves permission. And I think one of the things that I've needed to say and really wants to take the opportunity is because I've been seeing it in my clients. I've been seeing it in my clients where these health issues are coming up, and a lot of it's being sponsored by the fact that they're doing too much. That they're not making the choices that are right to serve them instead of they're serving other people. And as a result, they're heading to burnout if they haven't already. And their health issues are coming up. Now, this is the shit that the universe is not going to fix for you. All the universe all the universe is going to do is lead you to a burnout or to a breakdown of some sort, so you have the opportunity to reflect.
So basically it's like this. It's a big, right now with the health and well-being, it's an indicator for change. It's a really significant for change, and they're massive. But do you choose it? Do you choose it? Like, and that's where it's at. You know, we're experiencing it, and or we're getting stuck in it, or we're choosing to utilize this universal message and create the change and the shift and move forward and progress upward.
That's it. And that's the big thing. And this is what people need to understand. It's the opportunity for change.
Absolutely.
Now, this is not a change that the universe is going to make for you. It's a change you have to consciously step into. So just turning around and saying things like, I'm too busy, I can't say no, not knowing that you're heading towards trouble and knowing that you're heading towards burnout, but not changing your day-to-day life, making a different choice, you are only going to end up where you know you're headed.
Exactly. So it comes down to whether or not you're going to choose to support yourself in whatever way is required in order to not experience the full level of burnout, for example.
And this is where, if you choose to do what you know in your heart you really need to do, as difficult as it may be, you will move forward. You will feel lighter. You won't be stuck in the energy. However, if you choose to do nothing and just go on the way that you've been going, you will be stuck for the balance of this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You know, and
definitely.
I don't know, like for me, like there's a real strong power source coming in through me with this. It's sort of like a lot of passion around it. And I'm sort of going, okay, where is this coming from? Because, you know.
Because Gem needs a kick in the butt.
maybe some of my clients
totally.
need a kick in the butt too. And because if I'm looking at it for me, I know that that's the universe just saying to me, okay, just watch for you.
Yeah.
Just keep being mindful about it. Because there is a risk for me, but however, I'm not headed towards that yet. So
yeah, exactly. Whereas I am the one right there in the middle of it, and if I do not make any changes, or if I don't get up and go for those walks in the morning, or if I don't go back into yoga, if I don't eat breakfast in the morning, that if I don't make some changes, I'm going to suffer for the rest of the year, and I know that. So I need a kick. That's okay.
Yeah, and a couple of little things. Like I was only thinking this morning, I'm feeling a bit sluggish, you know, like feeling like not haven't got my mojo. And I know I was only talking to my personal trainer yesterday, and had personal training yesterday, and for the first time in a few weeks, and felt more in my mojo. And I'm like, okay, I probably do need to start the day with some yoga.
Yeah.
You know, so as hard as I'm not very good when I don't have a lot of strong will when it comes to physical stuff.
Yeah.
So, but at saying that, I'm sort of going, okay, I know how I feel clearer. I know how I have a mojo, and I'm just going to have to suck it up and do it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? Like we all know what we require on that level. It's whether or not we're choosing to support ourselves by doing it or not.
Yeah. And we all, especially as women, have those instances where we can't say no, and we give to other people so much more than we give to ourselves. And this is the stuff that actually does lead us to burnout, because we're so, you know, we pull ourselves into doing to help other people.
Yeah.
Because we can't say no. And it might be, you know, like I had a client yesterday sort of who was saying in an area of her work, she works part-time, but they had then asked her, because someone had left, could she work full-time?
Right.
And she was just saying yes. And I said, okay, well, next time they hit you up, you can turn around and say, no, I'm sorry, I can't work full-time, but I can offer you 4 days, you know?
Yeah.
There's just those kind of differences where we need to sort of put some of those boundaries in. And it really comes down to giving yourself permission to put yourself first.
Exactly. Yep. Permission to step up and support yourself, no matter what that looks like.
Yeah, and I'm hearing this is all that spirit wants for you.
Yeah.
Is that level of self-love and that level of nurturing which then allows you to be the best version of you.
The best version, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I think it's a monumental time in setting our year going forward. So I really want people to really hear this and know this. And if you're really struggling with that, then reach out to us, you know, whether you feel drawn to Gem, whether you feel drawn to myself or whatever, just reach out, let us know how we can help you with that.
Exactly.
You know, so because, you know, I wouldn't want you being stuck for, you know, the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly. You know, being stuck, if you're feeling heavy and stuck, you've got to make a choice to support yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my choice is, you know, tomorrow morning I'm going to get up and do a yoga.
Yay!
Okay, so we do have a couple of questions. So we have Catherine says hi to both of us.
Hi, Catherine.
Yeah. So I know, Jem, I don't think you can see the comments
No.
or the questions. So there's only a couple, so I'll just let you know. So Tiffany says, hello, Tiffany says she's so confused. She has been experiencing lots of signs, but she needs to know if she's really psychic, and if so, how can I control it a little better?
Okay. I think you and I both have the same belief and understanding that everyone is psychic.
Yes.
And whether or not you choose to tap into those abilities or develop those abilities more and more.
Yeah, and I would say, though, there is often times in our life, whereas because of upheaval or something in your life, some experience in your life may trigger it to become more prominent. You know, so that you will experience more psychically connected experiences, for example. Like that is a common experience for people. So I would certainly say that. But yeah, Jem, you're right. Absolutely. I absolutely believe that everyone is inherently has psychic ability, and again, it comes down to choice.
Exactly. Choice. Do you want to work with that and develop that more?
Yeah. How
Take
much
that
do you
to groups and academies who can offer the assistance to develop that?
Yeah. How much do you want to invest in that? You know, and certainly some people, some souls, their soul may be calling for it so much more than others. Which is where you'll find yourself confused, emotional, all of those sort of things. So Tiffany wants to know how you control it better. The short answer to that, Tiffany, would be to acknowledge each and every little experience first, to then question a little around that experience, you know, like question where it's coming from, who it's coming from, what is it relevant to you, and then in that process, so I would get a journal to use for this, write all that out, and then once you've sort of exhausted the purpose behind it, you can then consciously let it go. That would be the short answer. I'm not a believer in protection, so that's a whole nother conversation. But certainly I am also a big proponent of the fact that if you are interested in opening this area in your life and you want to do it well, then finding a mentor, a teacher is important. And certainly reading books, all of those things. And I can certainly, I'll post in the link, I do have a mediumship teaching book that you can purchase. It's on Amazon even. But yeah, and I can certainly give you information in regards to becoming a member of my Mediumship Academy, where we can certainly work on opening that up and certainly helping you to control the empathic side of it a lot more, because I know that that's a big issue for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd also have to say, Tiffany, like, go back and listen to the beginning of this live, because it's all about playfulness and playing with the energy. And if you can just perhaps lighten your load if you begin to look at it from a more playful aspect. So playing with the signs and the energy, I feel will just lighten your load a little.
Yeah, it's try, like Jem says, try not to take it all so seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah, good one. So we do have another question which came in from an earlier post from Jackie, and she's asking us to talk about how to break down the myth of people saying they don't trust or understand how people can offer readings online. And how does it work? And Jem, just for you, Catherine says she can't hear you very well.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Is that better? I'll hold the mic here. Is that better?
Okay, so firstly, we're going to talk about that.
That's a big one, isn't it?
It is people's perceptions, you know. I know, like, where I don't come up against it in regards to readings, but I do come up against it in regards to people, in regards to teaching this stuff.
Yeah.
Where,
So, I mean, my feel is like everything is there. Everything, universal energy, source energy, your ideas, thoughts, concepts, everything is like out there and ready for to draw on. It's ready for the taking. It's there for you to connect with. And for me personally, and I mean, it would be the same for you as well, it is just a matter of focusing our inner intention and drawing on what we need. And, you know, and then there's the integrity in that. If we can't reach what we're required to connect with, then we're not going to pretend that we've got a connection when we don't.
Absolutely. And you're right. I too see it as the fact that energy is omnipresent. You know, so the connection I'm making is no different to whether you're sitting here in the room with me or whether you're online or, you know, on the other side of the world, basically.
Exactly.
You know, so and it's not even like I need to see you. And for me, that's actually a really good thing, because from the skeptic's perspective, right, I'm not reading your body language, you know, I'm not doing that stuff. I'm not taking your cues, especially if I can't see you, you know. But saying that, the information still needs to be totally relevant.
Yeah.
You know, so I often do sort of sit here and think, you know, when I'm making a connection and I know that the person is typing away and that they're relating to what I'm making a connection, I often do think about how, I wonder what the skeptics would think about that.
I mean, you know, as far as breaking the myth down, though, you just do what you do, and we're always going to come up against judgments and points of view and challenges. But
absolutely, I think it's just how can we cold read if we can't see the recipient, you know, like
and too, like, there's that aspect of, and I probably started off more like this, being really quite intimidated by other people's energy right in front of me, so it would get messed and muddled. So I actually found it easier to read online, channeling down by, you know, just writing it out or whatever it may be. I found it easier to begin that way because I didn't have a person's physical energy to get past.
And you know, I'm sure there's quite a few people that would have that sort of similar experience, and it's just an easier way to practice, to hone your skills, all of that, because certainly sitting in a group, a face-to-face group, can be quite confronting for people. So saying all of that, so it works because energy is everywhere, and what we're doing as psychics and mediums is training our energy to be able to tune into that energy anywhere, into the collective, fine-tuning it like the radio station into where your intention is set. So that's why it works. Saying this, however, for me, my online readings and the fact that I might do a consultation via Zoom, for me, the quality of those is no different whether I have you online or whether I have you in some form of online or whether I actually have you sitting in front of me. There's actually absolutely no difference for me in the quality of information. I certainly acknowledge, though, that for the recipient, there is a difference in the personal side of things, as in, you know, it's much more touchy-feely if we're in the same room.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I can give you a hug. But that's really the only difference. There's no difference in the outcomes aside from that emotional side of it.
Yeah.
So what would I say to people that what would you say to people that have that, oh, you know, you shouldn't get a reading online from a psychic?
I think it would be the same playing out, whether it be actually going to somebody in the physical to have the physical experience as well. I mean, you have to be discerning in who you're connecting with. So whether it be in the physical world or you know, online in the internet world, you have to discern whether or not you align with this person and whether or not you know, their integrity shines through and their authenticity and that kind of stuff. So for me, it's no different.
Absolutely. And I actually think I like the fact that from a marketing strategy, and I'll be completely honest here, from a marketing strategy, the fact that I do some Facebook Lives where I do readings is a big part of my marketing strategy, and it works for my clientele for a couple of reasons. One, they feel like they get to know me and feel connected. And I know that that's a big, important value when people are choosing a psychic. So it helps with that. Two, one, there's actual proof that people can go and watch at any time to see how good I am at my readings. You know, so if they're new to getting to know me, I can actually point out and go, hey, you know, go check my page. There are reviews, but there's also videos that you can watch and see my work. It builds that trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I think that that's important, especially when you are growing an online base. If people look at that stuff and still think, okay, it can't work, then they're not for me.
That's their point of view, and that's totally okay.
Exactly. And they can, you know, go find a psychic in their local crystal shop.
Exactly.
You know, exactly. So, Jackie, I hope we answered your question there. I hope we gave you some stuff of what would help you break down that myth if you're coming up against it. I guess I probably should, because I do come up against this when it comes to teaching. You know, and people sort of, and Gem, you know, you're, you know, you part of my teaching, fortnightly teaching circle. And part of the reason is, one, because not everyone has access to good teachers in their local area, hey?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so you might be, you know, in a remote area, but still want to connect in, want to work with spirit, want to open up your mediumship, whatever it might be, but you just don't have access to it. And so this is what my online teaching provides. But there are certainly, for it to be good online teaching, it still needs to be live in the moment, you know. Yes, the video programs have their place for you to get sort of like the stuff you would read in a book, maybe in a different format. But the real teaching, the real connection, the real helping you open it up, there needs to be a live component to that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And again, there is no difference. There is, again, absolutely no difference, because energy is omnipresent.
Exactly.
And we always sit in at our computers every fortnight invite spirit in and connect and do readings and connect in on the same connections,
on
don't
the
we, Jen?
same connections. And yeah, you know, like, I mean, you've been able to pick up on so much that I haven't been able to understand. So for example, when I actually somebody sat in with me, you talked me through that whole process, which, you know, I mean, it was just like you were there with me physically, you know, so yeah, it's no different.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I would be doing exactly the same thing if I was had you in the same room, then I would just having you here sitting on Zoom or online. Again, I get that people may feel it's a little bit less personal. However, you know, the quality of teaching, what you will get, does not differ because you're not in the same room. So again, it comes down to how good your teacher is.
Exactly.
Really.
And we have a great teacher.
You know, so anyway, I hope we sort of did have that chat and dispelled a couple of those myths in the same vein. So certainly, I know we still got some people watching. Tiffany, if you have any other questions, by all means. And June, she's just waved and said hello.
Hi, June.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess there's no other questions, so I guess we can. That's just our way of sort of going, okay, we can leave it there. So I know we covered a lot today in this little chat.
Yeah.
We have covered a lot. So, but then, you know, that's who we are, Gem, hey?
Exactly. Once we start.
That's it. Once we start, it just sort of goes all over the place.
Exactly. So it'd be great to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, all those little segues. But no, thank you for joining me and having a chat. And where can people find you, Gem? Just
on Facebook, Raw and Real Goddess. Yeah,
Gemma
Rose Green, the Raw and Real Goddess. Yeah. Sorry, forget that.
Feel free to post a link to your page in the comment thread and all that. But thank you for joining me, and I'm sure it won't be the last time.
No, I hope not. It was been great.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.